Alright, hey everybody, so I thought of something fun to do. I thought, let's do a comparison in its own separated video rather than a video combining with the review for the Astro Megazord. A comparison of the different, well, 3 different, I guess, ZAP releases so far for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. Don't know if there's going to be any more. I hope there is, but we'll see. And just take a look at the differences between these in regards to that, and the iterations I think that they've gone through in regards to philosophy of design and everything, and I think the level of feedback that they took and everything. So yeah, as well as some fun stuff that I have planned. So yeah, but before we get to the Megazords themselves, let's get to the boxes. I know that's what everyone is waiting for, right? But yeah, just moving these back a bit so the boxes don't hit them. But yeah, so I took the Dino Megazord, the Dragon Zord, and the Dragon Zord boxes out of closet that I had them in, and basically have the Astro Megazords box right here. We're just going to take a look and see some differences. So I'm going to take the iPod I have recording this off the tripod for a moment so I can just get a proper look at these. So the design is basically the same. It's just replacing which head it is of the Megazord. And where everything kind of is. I feel like the Astro Megazord has a better sense of where to put the Power Rangers Lightning Collection logo and the Hasbro logo, as well as the plastic-free packaging and everything. But they look about the same in regards to that. And the ZAP Dragon Zord box basically has a lot of the same things as the Astro Megazord. So, yeah. Now, let's do a comparison of the dimensions of these. Now, because these are in 144 scale, these do vary between each other. Don't expect a ton of differences, though. So yeah. So, as I said in the review for the Astro Megaship, or Megazord, yeah, so this box for it is taller in regards to just height because of the fact that the Astro Megazord in ship mode, which is what it's put in for this, is just, I guess, wider from front to back than the individual 5 Dino Megazord Zords or the Dragon Zord. So yeah, the Dragon Zord is the shortest out of them. So, yeah, and maybe you can't really see it that well from this angle. But in terms of the Dino Megazord and the Dragon Zord box, that's where that goes. In regards to height, and then for width, it is wider than the ZAP Dragon Zord box by a bit, by like almost an inch, it looks like. Just eyeballing it. I don't have a ruler either, so I can't really measure it myself, so I don't care. Yeah. And then the Dino Megazord, that is definitely over an inch in regards to how much wider it is. So, yeah. And you can tell, because of the fact that the Dino Megazord has 5 Zords, it just makes sense that it's more, it's taller than it is wider, and it just wouldn't be as wide as the Astro Megazord. Let's take a look at these 3 side by side. Yeah. So, okay, so it would seem Okay, so it would seem they reversed, in between, like, making these, they reversed which side these pictures go on, but for the Dino Megazord, they didn't have the comic book style artwork for these two, and for the Astro Megazord and Dragonzord, they instead chose to use renders of them, which is whatever. And they've also changed out the Power Rangers Lightning Collection logo here for whatever these are supposed to be. I don't know what they're supposed to be. So, yeah. Bottoms are basically the same, just a bunch of legal information and descriptions of stuff and barcodes and whatever. So yeah, so then to go to the other sides for the Dino Megazord, they have... Okay, so for the Dino Megazord, they have the 5 main Zords, the T-Rex, Mammoth/Mastodon, Pterodactyl, Triceratops, and Saber-Toothed Tiger. And for the Astro Megazord and Dragonzord, they have the comic book style artwork on this side with the Power Rangers Lightning Collection logos, because for some reason they decided to change that. Lightning Collection, even when you're supposed to be as consistent as possible in regards to packaging. Yeah. Oh, and also I took off the tape that I left on the Dino Megazord and Dragonzord boxes. So if you see anything that's off in terms of, like, if anything came off, that's that. You can see right here as well for the Dragonzord that happened there. Remember to take the tape off as carefully as possible, but then also, whenever you get these, as quickly as possible after you get them. So slow when you're taking it off, but quickly after you get them, because, yeah, that can happen. And there's an instance on the box of the Dino Megazord that I will show in a moment, after I get through talking about the backs. So in regards to the backs of these, they're not very different. In regards to what the philosophy is, although they've changed up what they've shown in terms of pictures. On the Dino Megazord, you just have pictures of the 5 main Zords, where and lifting up where the Rangers' cockpits are, where they're sitting in them. Bigger picture of the different Rangers and their poses and everything for what it's supposed to come with. And then showing off the Dino Megazord in tank mode and then Megazord mode. And for the In-Space Astro Megazord, they just have a picture of the Megazord, as well as its height. They don't, in like actual inches and centimeters, I think. And then they don't have that for this, so they just added that as they went along. The Dragonzord doesn't have that either. I'll take a look at that in a second. And on the Astro Megazord, it shows the accessories it comes with the sword, the shield, the gun, the alternate hands, and the 5 main Ranger figures right there. The Astro Megazord in its ship mode, the Masada spaceship, cockpit, and everything. So, yeah, because there was only 2, they had to, I guess, pick other things to show there. So that's fine. In regards to the Dragonzord, so on the back, and they always have the Z logo and then the show logo for what they're from. Shows off the 2 different modes you can put it in with the Zords from the Dino Megazord. The Dragonzord itself, where the cockpit is in its head, and the alternate rocket hands. So, yeah, and the 2 figures it comes with the Green Ranger. It does not show, from what I'm seeing, it does not show the hands with the missiles and them not firing. So, yeah, it's just missing one thing there, but that is whatever. So you can see the design philosophy like, evolve over time with these things. So, yeah. So, now, under where the slip covers are, on the front, you just have the Dino Megazord head. The Dragonzord box, you just have the Megazord head for when it's combined with the 3 other Zords that it can combine with from the main one. And the Astro Megazord just has the head of it. So yeah. And the back is the same but different. For here, it's a nice blue. For here, it's a nice green. For here, it's a nice red. And you can see what I meant by, like, what the tape can do. Because when I took it off, this tore off. And I had to be very careful that all of it didn't come off with the tape. So, yeah, and then this part did too. So that kind of kills a little bit of the resale value. Not that I would ever sell these, but yeah. So then the insides of these. So for the Dino Megazord, you have the artwork of the Megazord fighting a giant Goldar with the Z's emblazoned on the inside, which is cool. And then I'm not going to show the parts where the Zords fit in, but you have these which resemble the cockpits in the individual Zords, which is nice. I do like that. That honestly does look good. For the Dragonzord, you have the inside comic book artwork of Dragonzord fighting the main Megazord. Z's emblazoned there, which is a subtle detail. I like it. And the inside for the Green Ranger's cockpit inside the Dragonzord. So yeah, under those though, you just can go to my regular reviews of these to see. But yeah. Yeah, just it just is like that. I don't know what else to say. Alright. Okay. Then on the inside, you got the artwork, comic book artwork of the Astro Megazord fighting the giant Ecliptor, and the Z's emblazoned. I didn't note that in my regular review of it, but yeah, because I forgot about it, but you know. Then you have a thing representing the main panels on or in the cockpit of the Zord or Megazord or bridge of it. So yeah. So that's basically the main difference in regards to packaging and the evolution of the packaging across these 3 thus far. I actually don't mind any of them, but I think the Astro Megazord has the best out of all of them, just in terms of like what exactly it has and how it all fits. Or how it all flows. So yeah, so we move on now to the Megazords. I didn't put away anything from the Astro Megazord review before I did this video, so get everything extra on the table here. So, in regards to overall, like, difference in regards to, I think, the construction philosophies of these. Again, they're still in the 1 by 144 scale of these and everything. And yeah, the only one I think that is impressive overall, the most at the very least, is the Astro Megazord, but that's mainly because it's the first one we've had in like 25 years. So it's like, yeah. Don't know if there's been an SMP. I think there actually has been an SMP, like whatever they called this in Mega Ranger. So yeah. One thing I also need to note, because I didn't know it in the review, but I saw it later on in someone else's video. So much dust, because these have been just sitting on a shelf for the last several months. But on the back of this here, there's a little flap that you bring down when you combine it with the main Megazord. So, yeah. So that this stays in place. I did not see that. But yeah. So, I guess the main ones to compare would be the Dino Megazord and the Astro Megazord. Now, again, these have two different design philosophies in regards to them, both originally and with these. The Dino Megazord is made up of 5 different Zords and animals that the Zords resemble, and they combine. Whereas the Astro Megazord is a ship, technically 2 ships, that separate and combine and everything and recomposite themselves in the different places. So yeah, and on top of that, I would say the Astro Megazord is a bit more blocky than the Dino Megazord. And in regards to the ZAP stuff on them, I think that the Astro Megazord fits a lot better for the over-designed nature of these and the added like textures and other stuff and details and other stuff into the molds than the Dino Megazord does. I would also say that the Astro Megazord looks better with all the like chrome type plastic that's on it than the Dino Megazord does with its added stuff, or just stuff that's different from the older ones from Bandai, like the see-through plastic here. I kind of do appreciate that they did do different plastic parts instead of like paint or stickers for these, because stickers will eventually come off over time and paint will probably wear away. So I actually don't mind them going out of their way to do different paneling with see-through plastic where it was originally paint or stickers on other versions of this. So, yeah. That being said, I stick by most of the stuff or pretty much everything I said in the main review of the ZAP Dino Megazord, where it has a few different flaws in regards to its design that I don't understand why they didn't catch. Mainly that... Jesus. Mainly that these things here on its hips, they were originally pieces on older versions of this that did not move. They were molded into the legs of the T-Rex and thus the legs of the Megazord, but on these they are 2 separate fitted pieces. And if you stretch the legs sideways out too far, those things pop out. I'm not going to do that here because that's just annoying to have to deal with, but I don't really like that. I really, really don't care for that at all. But yeah, now that I think about it, the only thing that has any kind of chrome effect is the sword. But yeah. And then, is there anything else I can really say? You can go to my original review to just look at that, or to see what I said there. But yeah, there's also the fact that this does have a bit of weight to it, but it is not that heavy. Granted, though, does feel like about what I'd expect for something of its size. Maybe a little bit more weight to it would make it feel a bit better in regards to when you pick it up, but I think that the weight for it is actually not that bad. I've seen some people, mainly like Power Ranger 2, that guy, rag on the weight of this. I actually don't mind the weight. It could be a little heavier, but considering what it is and everything, I think that it's actually not that bad in regards to weight. But yeah, in regards to the over-designed nature, it mainly just affects parts of the individual Zords when they are. Mainly, I think the T-Rex, because they gave the T-Rex these weird blue eyes to make it look more robotic, and these other things that it just didn't need or didn't have originally. And I just don't know why. I don't know, they overcomplicated the design. The design was supposed to be simple and clean so that kids could just like it and want to play with it and would play with it and everything. And granted, this is a collector's line for older people and collectors. It's not meant to be, toys for kids. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. When you overcomplicate the design by like adding things or redesigning things, it's not always great to do that when the designs were already good to begin with. So, yeah. What else am I trying to think of in regards to stuff I didn't say before with the Dino Megazord? Don't really like that the wheels on the bottoms of the Saber-Tooth Tiger and T-Rex, or not T-Rex, Triceratops don't move, considering Saber-Tooth Tiger is supposed to be one of the bottoms of the tank, and the Triceratops is supposed to move like a tank. So, I don't know. Considering that the wheels come out for it, it just seems really weird. Now, in terms of the ZAP Dragon Zord, this one is a mixed bag. Not as mixed bag, I would say, as the Dino Megazord, but it is one. In regards to the weight, it is way, way lighter than the Dino Megazord. And yeah, the most weighty thing on it is probably the tail, and without it doesn't weigh much. Not that necessarily I expect it to weigh a lot, but I kind of expect it to weigh more than what it does. And on top of that, I didn't talk about the extra detail that was on the Dragon Shield part of it, because I didn't notice it. But I did rewatch Power Ranger Tube's review of it, and they did add a bunch of molding into the shield part of it. And I don't really know how to feel about that. The original design did not have that, whether it came to the toy or the suit used in Zord footage from Zyuranger and Mighty Morphin. I don't really think it needed it. That's where I think it is over-designed. You didn't really need it, and it just comes off weird. And there's the other things about it. Like, I don't really think it was necessarily made to be combined with the Dino Megazord and have it be 100% great, like previous iterations of these things. Which is weird, because it's just like, originally they were designed to go together for Zyurangers, so I don't understand that at all if you're gonna have these be the first two. Then on top of that, I still hold firm with when you're putting this in the mode where it combines with the Dino Megazord. Mine has the QC issue of why these won't go in the fucking pegs won't go into the fucking holes that are there. Keep it together. That's annoying. Yeah, that's another thing that I don't know if I said during the review or not. But yeah, when you put these into there, like when you hike these up into these slots, since the Dragon Zord does come with plates that are supposed to go here to represent the missile hands, that is supposed to fix an issue on previous versions of the Dragon Zord where it just did that. However, or where the hands are just weird and just sitting like that. However, mine has the QC issue of one, I think it's might be the right hand one. One of them does not like to stay in the slot that was supposed to be made for it. It's really annoying, and I don't understand why this wasn't caught and fixed before this shit came out. I just don't understand it whatsoever. That being said, I think most of the rest of it is not necessarily that bad. I feel like people maybe harp on it a little bit too much. The main problems I have with the ZAP Dragon Zord are some of the really weird adaptions of the way it's supposed to combine with the Dino Megazord, the things that Hasbro redesigned and included with it that are supposed to fix prior QC issues, but are like half and half on if they're actually going to work or not in your particular one. And then maybe the lightweightedness of it. I don't know. That's kind of like 50-50 for me. On the one hand, I don't care. On the second hand, or on the other, I do kind of understand it. So, yeah. So then we have the Astro Megazord. Now, as I said in the review itself, the Astro Megazord has had some QC issues. At the very least, the initial batch of them did, where one of the arms for the slots right there on each side, at least one of them, and it's usually the right one for some reason, the right-hand one, it just for some reason would come broken. And then there's other ports, I believe, that get broken for just no reason that I honestly just don't understand whatsoever. Can't remember. I think are they on the sides? They're somewhere. Ah, it's on the legs. So let me rotate these. On the legs, you got two of these ports right here for when it's I think where the shield is supposed to go when it's in ship mode. The main problem I've seen is that those also come broken for no reason, and I just don't understand why that would happen. I think it's the quality of the plastic that has to do with it. Like, it'll come like 50-50 on if those specific ports will be broken or not, or partially broken, or the clamps in them will be at least partially broken or not. Mine luckily does not have those QC issues, and I want to say that that's probably just an initial batch problem that they probably got feedback on and fixed, or the later ones just don't have that problem, or the majority of them don't have that problem. But some people, unfortunately, that are reviewers that do videos on these things did get versions of the Astro Megazord that are like that, and that is a genuine problem. The Lightning Collection as a whole, unfortunately, does have, too many QC issues that are just stupid. And I'm not saying I'm immune to it. In fact, I just said for the Dragon Zord, there was a QC issue where the things that represent the hands, when it's combined with the Dino Megazord, when it's on top of the Dino Megazord, like, one of them doesn't fit properly. Like, it's not... The thing that you put the thing in does not properly wrap around it, so it comes out. It's annoying. And I don't understand why that's like that. yeah, I'm not immune to it. I've gotten some bad figures, or very few, but I have gotten some figures that have had some problems, and the Dragon Zord itself has one QC issue that I do have. Luckily, though, my ZAP Dino Megazord and Astro Megazord are not actually that bad, probably because I waited a bit to get them, and if you are worried about the QC issues, I would say wait a little bit, see what's out there in regards to QC issues on people's stuff. Wait a little bit until they maybe get some later batches out to the various retailers, and then buy one. Especially if you want to wait for a sale. That's honestly the best way I can recommend this, or recommend these things in regards to the Lightning collection. But yeah. It probably is just mainly the quality of plastic, or if they get damaged in transit. That is also a possibility. And yeah, it is just really annoying to have something like that. And if we're going to look at all three of these standing right next to each other as best I can, you can see definitely, I think I've said this before, the Dragon Zord is the shortest out of all of them. Xeno Megazord is in the middle. And the Astro Megazord is definitely the tallest out of all of them. It is also the blockiest. That's also a thing I wanted to say, is it is the blockiest out of all of them. On top of that, like I've said, I think that the Astro Megaship, or Megazord, is the only one where the over-designed extra stuff that they put onto these versions of these is a good thing, because it makes it look more technological, and it complements the original design. As to the more fantastical designs of something like the Zyuranger mechs, where they were based on, as the theme song says for Zyuranger, a dino fantasy. So it's just a thing of they need to like rein it in on future things if they decide to continue the ZAP line and do more of the older Megazords and everything, because it's a thing where you need to pick and choose what you want to change on these things. Because if the designs were already really good, why bother? Why fix something that isn't broken? But if you have something like the Astro Megazord, where it's tech-based and it goes really well with the design to include more technological stuff like that, by all means. Like I said in the review for the Astro Megazord, I would like to see, like, maybe Time Force or SPD, maybe I don't know about RPM, actually. Maybe Beast Morphers if they do a souped-up version of that Megazord. Any of the tech-based ones. Oh yeah, there's also Overdrive. What else am I trying to think of? Lightspeed Rescue. Maybe Zeo. No, not Zeo, those are animals. Maybe Turbo. But yeah, the other seasons that have tech-based Zords, actual tech-based, and not like fantasy animals that they're saying are tech-based. They're saying are robots, but they're actually alive, either in the Sentai or Power Rangers or both. Yeah, I just honestly think that seasons like that are where the over-designed nature with the added stuff should be added. Whereas the original designs, you really shouldn't fuck with them too much. Maybe some changes or additions here and there would be fine. Like I don't think that the clear plastic right here on the shoulder pads is actually that bad. But did you really have to have the mesh right here? And just the extra stuff on the individual Zords? I personally don't think so. There's like extra lines and shit. It reminds me of the Marvel Cinematic Universe suits for like Spider-Man, where they have like, at the very least the Stark suit, where it's like very over-designed and has the lines on it that you don't really need, at least on the blue parts. But yeah, but granted, those were also made for a darker blue version of the suit that was seen in Civil War, but they lightened up the blue for Homecoming. So yeah, But yeah. So I think that's about it for the direct comparisons between these. If you guys want me to answer any questions about these, leave comments below. I'm trying to see. Okay, so first, I'm just gonna compare. Let's compare the Astro Megazords box because it's the newest one. To I just wanna kind of do some fun things, really, for the next little bit, and compare Hasbro to Bandai Japan. So I've done a review of this, so if you want to see that, you can go to the channel. This is the Memorial Edition Gokai cellular box. I didn't get the Memorial Edition Movirate out because it's in a bin, and I don't want to do that right now. But yeah, I had this out of a bin, so it's the closest one we can get. So, in terms of the design philosophies, they're not actually that different in some cases. I'd say they have very similar design philosophies, but granted, they're also, like, supposed to be things that'll sell you on this if you look at it in a store. So yeah, so basically they're very much the same. Obviously, this has a bunch of Japanese on it. But, yeah, it's basically very similar, where you have face on the front, and then names of everything everywhere, and then product pictures and artwork and whatnot to just basically sell you on it. I'm sorry if that comparison didn't really go too well. So yeah. Next. Alright. So, I did two different videos on this. One when I got it, and then one when I got the stickers for it. Fan-made stickers. The budget release of the Dino Megazord. Now, this is the one with the fan-made stickers that I put on it. So it's not going to be this detailed if you decide to get it, if it's even still in print. But we have that. It's basically, and then I said I had this during the Astro Megazord review. The Ninja Mega Falcon Zord, I believe. Minus the Falcon Zord, because I don't have it yet. But we have these two. And this has, like, actual metal on it in places. Like, die-cast metal. Not in a lot of places, but it does have it. This is the last of the Legacy Megazords, I believe, that Bandai released. And you can see that these Megazords are basically in scale with one another. This is a little bit shorter than this one, but they look roughly in scale with one another, and they don't look too out of place next to each other, which is interesting. They're just in the same scale with one another. But, as you can probably see, they are about the same height. The Dragon Zord is a little bit shorter than this one, but the Dragon Zord looks about the same height as the Dino Megazord. However, it's just a little bit bulkier because of the scale difference. But yeah. And then the ZAP Dino Megazord is obviously a bit taller. And, like probably almost half a foot taller. And, without the stickers, way more detailed. And, yeah, it has different design philosophies in regards to some of the plastic and the added details and everything. I have a feeling Hasbro was probably testing the waters with this to see how people would react to them doing more budget Megazords. or budget versions of the old Megazords. I don't know why they tested it out with Mighty Morphin, considering we've gotten a shit ton of those, but, you know, whatever. But yeah, and then they decided to go with the ZAP line instead, which I think the ZAP line was a better line. It just needs to cost a lot less. I think if it was like half the money to buy the Dino Megazord and the Astro Megazord new, as well as the Dragon Zord, it would be a lot better. These shits should be like $75, not $165. But anyways, yeah. But a lot of similar design philosophies and everything, obviously differences. This is more like Bandai's like legacy stuff than the Lightning Collection stuff. But yeah. And in regards to this, I think this was worth a lot less than these. Has less articulation, but about as much detail. Not as much, like, added stuff, which is fine, because I don't think you really needed to have much of this be changed. But it weighs a bit more. Does this weigh? Hold on. Okay, the Legacy Astro Megazord definitely weighs more than it. These feel like they weigh about the same. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not even gonna try to compare the weight to the Dragon Zord. So yeah, that's another thing for the weight complaint that I've seen from some people, mainly like Power Ranger Tube, is that this weighs a little bit, it either weighs about the same or a little bit less than the ZAP Dino Megazord, and it definitely weighs less than the Astro Megazord. So I really don't understand some of the complaints in regards to weight. I don't think that necessarily it's that bad for the weight. I guess it's mainly that this is supposed to be a premium product that costs almost $200, so people maybe expected a bit more. I don't know, I think that's a complaint that really is just unneeded, and is very, what is the word I'm looking for? Is very, situational, maybe? But, yeah. Or subjective, that was the word I'm looking for. But yeah. I don't really think I have much else to say, because I think I've gotten everything I wanted out of the way. So, just lastly, in regards to the ZAP line, as it is thus far from 2022 to 2023, because I believe these came out last year, and the ZAP Astro Megazord came out this year, I think that mostly these are fine. I think the Astro Megazord is definitely the best of them thus far, if only because, like, they were able to, like, just focus on one thing. The added design elements from the ZAP Lightning stuff actually complement the original design as opposed to, you know, not. I think that it's definitely a good fit for this line. And again, I think more tech-based Megazords and Zords are where that should go towards in regards to the extra design elements. There are, however, problems with the Dino Megazord and Dragon Zord that I think they should take notes from in regards to the feedback that they've gotten. Mainly the constructive feedback, but also the negative feedback. I personally would suggest to them maybe redo these molds a bit so that they're better. Maybe change the factory that you're making these things from or at, because quality of plastic is not great, and everything. Because they switched from a factory, I think in China, I think, to Vietnam a few years ago, and it's just not great. But yeah, and then I would also suggest for future, like, ZAP stuff, have the hands have movable fingers. Like, you can have them segmented where the knuckles are. Like, I don't understand why we have to have, like, multiple different hands that, like, require additional paint, additional plastic for the molds, and whatnot. I don't understand why that has to do, or why that has to be there. But yeah. Oh. Right, in regards to scale, I also wanted to show the difference between these and a regular Lightning Collection figure. So we have the Lightning Collection Metallic Red, which stands at like probably 5.5 to 6 inches tall. Yeah, it's about as tall as the lower legs of the ZAP Megazords. So yeah, I just wanted to get that before I stopped recording. I don't really think I have much else to talk about, honestly. To me, it would seem, I think that the Astro Megazord, is more worth the money, if only because we haven't had a Astro Megazord since like the 90s in a decent scale. We have the SMP version, which is just, that's a modeling kit, so it's not like it's a toy, and it's not like it's something like this. This is also a much larger scale than the SMP. The SMP Megazords are basically as tall as the Lightning Collection figure, if not a little bit taller. So they're roughly about 6 to 7, maybe 8 inches at best, depending on which one you're talking about. And yeah, they're fine for what they are supposed to be, which is models, but they're not good for like rough play because they're not designed for that. So yeah, they're meant to be like posed and like shown off as opposed to that, which I think that they've also been trying to strike a middle ground with these in regards to that. And in some ways they succeeded, in some ways they haven't. I think that also the added articulation on the Dino Megazord is good. There's not as much added articulation with the Dragonzord, but granted, that's also a design that I don't really think you could add much articulation to. The Astro Megazord doesn't have a lot of added like articulation either, which is whatever. I don't have any problems with that necessarily because it's a blocky design and it looks like it's not supposed to have a ton of added articulation. It mainly just has articulation in the arms, somewhat in the legs, and really not much else. So, yeah, maybe in the head. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, this is on a movable ball joint. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, right. The only QC issue I had on my Astro Megazord is the ship part not going flush with the between the two halves of it, and I don't know if anyone else has had this issue. It just doesn't want to stay, and I don't know how to make that better. You know? So mine just won't stay when I try to make it go. But other than that, it's not like that's a big issue, because it's either going to be in the head mode or that. Or the ship mode. Combined, or in the docking bay in the main mega ship. But yeah, I don't really think I have much else to say. If you have questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. Other than that, I don't really have much else to say. So yeah. So link description on my shit, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next one.